disinformation. So, based on our analysis so far of the electoral atmosphere, we realize that one of the targets, one of the narratives that we see is target on security institutions. So what do we mean by target on security institutions? We are seeing attacks on, for instance, you hear narratives like, okay, police officers are snatching ballot boxes or they are providing cover for political talks. These are some of the narratives that fall under targeting security institutions. We have religious polarization. The analysis showed that there's a religious polarization of Catholic and Anglican ahead of this election. It may not be a very visible narrative, but speaking with the people attending some of these religious gatherings, you realize that there is this sharp polarization and it would have an effect on the electoral process. We have endorsement manipulation. You agree with me that in all elections we have endorsement manipulation. That is, you might wake up tomorrow morning and you hear that maybe a notable figure like Peter Obi has endorsed someone or President Tinubu has endorsed someone. These are manipulations. They are forms of narratives that we see ahead of the election. We're already seeing them. So ahead of the election, we are looking forward to seeing more of them. Weaponizing insecurity, we would agree with me that there's a high level of insecurity in some parts of the state. So we expect that narratives will fall under this category. So information, so pictures and videos, you see that okay, there's an attack or there's ballot box snatching or there's violence in some polling units, even though they are not true, but because there are cases of insecurity, those narratives will be used. We have language discussion. Most of the campaigns are in Igbo and Pidgin, and for some people, I can, on top of my head, not all of us can speak Igbo here. So when people are reporting such cases, they tend to distort what has been said in the original language. So this is also what we are expecting. INEC legitimization, and every election you see attacks on the electoral umpire, key persons in INEC, the INEC itself, maybe there are narratives across elections that the INEC has done or written in just somewhere, and they are waiting to just send it out to the public. Or you hear that the INEC chairman is in a meeting with one of the candidates and they are looking for how to manipulate the election. These are some of the narratives we will see ahead of the election. And the final one is gender disinformation. You agree with me that when the candidate of the AAC posted on Twitter, there were already some narratives, some accusations and allegations against that image, and they are holding her to standards which they are not even holding the men to such standards. So that's what we consider gender disinformation. These are some of the claims we've done regarding Anambra election. One is APC candidate that donated 3 million to flood victims. This is more like they're trying to garner support and sympathy for the candidate. This one is Governor Tinubu was blocked from seeing Tinubu in Owerri. Another one is Orchard Brigade shot 4 persons. This one falls under the weaponizing security that we mentioned, considering that over the weeks we have been hearing a lot about the Orchard Brigade and some of their activities. We also have INEC proposed to keep open materials for Anambra election in Delta State. For an election that will hold in Anambra, they are saying they are keeping materials in Delta State. Why? For what? These are some of the and also President Jonathan declared his intention to run for 2020 presidential election. These are some of the narratives that would cause in the front of the election. Do you have any questions on this part, or we'll move towards the next one? Anambra map, and right here is a breakdown of the voters, polling units, zone, registered areas. These are numbers that will help us understand where we expect large numbers of votes to come from. They call them strong areas, and then areas where we expect that there will be minimal or less turnout because of the number of registered voters and the polling units there. If you look at central, looking at the central, has the highest number of registered voters with 246,000. 246,000 registered voters here with 467 polling units, followed by Oka South. On this central, the list here is Doing the coffee in Central with just 83,000 registered voters. If you come to Anambra North, yes, Anambra North, Ogbaru has 188,060 registered voters. So that's the place with the highest number of registered voters and polling units. While yes, 70, Anambra West under North has the lowest with 71,332. With this breakdown, even this place has double of this. So now moving to South. In South, the place with the highest number of registered voters is Nnewi North with 166,400 and 318 polling units, followed by Ihala with 156,715. In Anambra South, Orumba South has the least with 85,767 registered voters and 208 polling units. If you look at the distribution, the places that have the highest numbers are even double of the places that have. This is a map showing the turnout trend in the number election from 1991 to 2021. If you look at this map, the highest turnout trend was in 2007 with 63% turnout, and the lowest was in 2021. 2021 was the last election that saw the emergence of Soludo with 10.2%. So you would agree with me that the turnout fell from 2007, sharp decline. So when 2007 to 2010, 63% to 68%. So between 2010 to 2027, there was an increase in the trajectory, and then in 2021 it dropped to 10.20%. So we are looking towards
an increase
in 2025. We are optimistic of that, right?
Okay, well, we do.
So let's move to mapping conflicts across Anambra. So like I mentioned, there is dynamics in some part of Anambra State security and conflict. So it's important that we mention and put attention to it. So what do I mean? When you look at the deep blue fatalities and
incidents,
are
more than the fatalities. But even Aguata has more fatalities than incidents.
Exactly, Aguata has more fatalities.
Ogbaru has more fatalities too.
Places like Anambra, there was no recorded fatality, just incidents. Then you look at
Ogbaru.
Which other one?
Ogbaru has more fatalities.
Has more fatalities
yeah.
Incidents. So these are some of the areas that you look at, and then you are able to make some plans ahead. So for instance, for this kind of places that they have long cases, you have more and heavy security deployment because of what has happened in the past. And for places like this that are relatively peaceful, you expect that there will be the same trajectory.
So are you saying that now, tomorrow, we should look out for problems
I'm
more?
not saying. Data is saying.
All right. No. Sorry.
2006 to 2006, 2007, 2007. The reason why we are doing off-cycle election, why Anambra election doesn't fall along with other calendars, because of the court ruling that happened this year, and so it made the election not follow other patterns. And if you look at this, it's able to go by himself. So by 2007, there was another court ruling restating matter of so as to annul the election of this person. So it was from here when he started his tenure and this 2007 to 2014 that the election cycle broke away from the normal election pattern. That's why we have a cycle of election. Past governorship results. When we come to this person won with 16.6. Okay, the last election. This is the breakdown of the last election. Governor Soludo polled 46.5% to become the governor, followed closely by Andy Bawu at 22.3%, followed by Valentine Ozingo. Willie Obiano won in 2017, he won 55%. So what this data is saying is that the person that won in 2017 had 5.4%, more than average. But so do they get average of the entire total cast?
Okay.
So this is like a decline from what we had in 2017, and if we were to go by this trajectory, unfortunately,
It may come down.
Data is saying it's not. Total number of registered voters for the election slated for tomorrow. INEC says okay for 2021. For 2021 election, 2.4,666,688 registered voters according to INEC, but only 253,000 were accredited, meaning 10% of the registered voters, and the total vote count is 10.1%. Very, very poor turnout. Because let's assume that 2.4 million people have their PVC and just 253 presented themselves for the electoral process.
So there was voter apathy.
Yes. Rejected votes is just 8,000, 3.2%. Non-voters. So a total of 2.2 million people decided that they would vote. How Anambra voted for president. In 2023, Anambra voted massively. So got 95.2% of the vote. Anambra, followed by Atiku Abubakar who got 1.5%. In 2019, they voted massively. Atiku Abubakar, followed by Anambra. In 2015, they voted massively for
Goodluck Jonathan.
What this means is that in 2023, they did not vote for the ruling party in the federal government, which is APC.
At all.
In 2019, they still did not do the same because Muhammadu Buhari was seeking re-election. In 2015, they voted for Goodluck Jonathan was seeking re-election. So in the last two elections, they voted for the opposition party in the presidential election. That's
I want to listen and forgotten.
You don't want to say anything. All right, gentlemen of the press, citizens, greetings. This will be our preliminary statement before we hit the field tomorrow. So, this press release is from the Center for Transparency Advocacy. Pre-gubernatorial election statement at Hilton Leisure, Oka, Anambra State, on 7th of November 2025. Gentlemen of the press, citizens of Anambra State in preparation for governorship elections high hopes given the promises and incremental improvements witnessed during the off-seasons were also deployed for the 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections. Energized by the prospect of having their votes count, a new layer of Nigerians, especially youths, became politically active in a manner never before witnessed in the political history of this country. The Center for Transparency Advocacy Okay, you want us to start afresh?
Yes.
Citizens of Anambra State in preparations for the governorship elections had high hopes, given the promises and the incremental improvements witnessed during the other off-season elections. These were made possible with the introduction of technological innovations into the electoral process. These technological innovations were also deployed for the 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections. Energized by the prospect of having their votes count, a new layer of Nigerians, especially youths, became politically active in a manner never before witnessed in the political history of the country. The Center for Transparency Advocacy, an independent civic organization that has been actively involved in the observation of Nigerian electoral process from its inception, and an accredited domestic observer group will deploy 50 observers who will send in reports in real time. for CTA to give hand information as to what happened on the election day. Gentlemen of the press, before now, the Center for Transparency Advocacy, equally in collaboration with Koyenum Imala Foundation and the Independent National Electoral Commission, successfully implemented a voter enlightenment and education program in select local government areas with particular attention on Orumba South local government area, Anambra State, from September 15th to 30th, 2025. The program was designed to sensitize citizens and on their electoral rights and responsibilities, promote peaceful participation, discourage malpractice such as vote buying and rigging, and motivate increased voter turnout ahead of the November 8th Guba elections. CIT has also participated in other activities to promote electoral transparency and credibility before now. In line with our practice, CTA is opening the situation room here in August. The CTA, as earlier stated, will deploy 50 trained election observers across 21 LGAs that make up Anambra State. These observers have been trained on election observation and adherence to INEC election guidelines. As in the Anambra go to the polls again tomorrow, we want to attention of all and sundry to the following important issues. Preparation of INEC. Number one, logistical arrangements. According to INEC, all arrangements are in place, and the hiccups that always marred our elections should not for any reason rear its, or will not for any reason rear its ugly head during the governorship election on Saturday. All arrangements to move personnel and materials must be top-notch. INEC staff. We commend INEC for initiating the process for sanctioning some of its election officials for misconduct in the past. This is not enough, as we expect that more electoral officers and ad hoc staff should be sanctioned if found wanting in this election. Integrity should be the watchword for INEC staff. The Anambra do not expect anything less. INEC and its staff must live above board. Finally, it is important that electoral officers at the LGAs be on top of their game by promptly mobilizing members of the National Union of Road Transport Workers to move personnel and materials to polling units in good time. Preparations by security agencies and electoral violence. Electoral violence. There may not have been recorded security infractions associated with campaigns in the last 3 months. However, there are security scars around some flashpoints like Orumba South, Ihiala, Obaro, among others. The CTA calls for better synergy between security agencies across board to ensure safety of citizens. INEC personnel and materials before, during, and after elections on Saturday must be safeguarded. Voter turnout and participation. Citizens are encouraged to turn out in high numbers. We consider the gubernatorial election very important, hence we implore citizens to take it very seriously. We call on citizens to shun vote buying and trading. They should come out in their numbers to exercise their franchise. Citizens should misinformation and disinformation through this media or social media. The social media has no doubt made communication easy in real time. It also has its dark sides. Fake news hashed by unscrupulous elements distort information and create chaos, which are often spread through the social media. During this period, different flyers and unsubstantiated news items were and are still being bandied about and spread across the social media. We appeal that this should not be reinforced by means and after the elections. politicians and the need to ensure peaceful election, money politics, and vote buying. It has become imperative to money politics. All forms of inducements associated with our politics and elections must be resisted. Citizens' choices must never be subverted by negative use of money to influence votes, including criminal purchases of PVCs by politicians. We recognize clearly that the symbolic presence of law enforcement agents at polling units on election day has not deterred vote buying. It is therefore important that a more result-oriented method like covert operations be adopted to curb this menace. And early warning flagging by the central bank and commercial institutions will as well alert anti-graft agencies to track illicit money intended to usurp the wills of the people through rigging of elections by induced by money, hate speech. We are just a few hours away to the election day. Campaigns ended yesterday at midnight across the state. We call on all politicians and their supporters to be at their best behavior and resist any urge to breach the peace during and after the election on November 8, 2025. Politicians should resist the urge to indulge in voter intimidation and suppression under whatever guise. Peace accord. Once again, we remind the politicians of the peace accord they voluntarily signed and rein in their supporters, respect other candidates, desist from using abusive words, and above all, shun violence, as we have only one Anambra state that we can call our own. Encourages citizens to exercise their civic responsibilities by voting candidates of that the Guba election and House of Representatives are the ones closer to the grassroots. Hence, utmost care should be taken in choosing those who occupy such positions. We still believe in the ability of INEC to deliver a free, fair, credible, and conclusive election. We also insist on the continued deployment of the beavers, which has proven to be a game changer in the conduct of elections. I thank you for coming around. We'll take questions at this point.
Just to add that focusing on our observation. Please, yes. Just okay. I just want to say that this year we're focusing our observation on the conduct of the political class. We have seen that along the value chain of electoral reforms, there have been the week where the central bank, you are aware that 16 political parties are fielding candidates. But at the central bank yesterday, they had only political parties. The distribution of sensitive material is a very strategic event for elections. And to have political parties not having their candidates there is something we should not take for granted. And then when we're also looking out for the agents at the polling units, you go to polling units, you find that out of 16 candidates, you're having only 2 political parties at the polling units. So we hope that the political class will understand that at the end of the day, they are the beneficiaries of all the efforts of all the other stakeholders in this election, and they should be responsible for voter education, ensuring that their party agents are well kitted and accredited, and that they are also part of the entire process. So most of the reports will be given to you for this election. We will look at the issues around political party, the campaign financing. We're looking at the deployment of party agents. We're also going to look at inclusion of gender in those, because yesterday for this 7 or 8 political parties we saw at the central bank yesterday, there was just one woman representing.
Most time, so I think
That's why I said that. Yeah.